I have some thoughts around the hashtag sex strike that has been trending on Twitter this weekend. I'm Nadine Thornhill, sexuality educator. This is going to be completely off the cuff, which is not something that I generally do on this channel. But today I was on Twitter and I saw that Alyssa Milano, actress and activist, had called for a sex strike in response to some of the proposed changes to abortion laws, I believe specifically in Texas. Now, there was a bill passed in the Texas Senate, I think, that would make it illegal for doctors to perform what are called discriminatory abortions. So abortions being performed because of the sex, race, or disabilities of the fetus, and that doctors who performed abortions for those reasons could be charged. Full disclosure, if you've never watched this channel, I understand that there are people who are anti-abortion, and I kind of understand where they're coming from, but just to be clear, I am pro-choice. Like pro-choice. Pro-choice. So let's start there. If you are anti-abortion, I don't understand how this is helpful to your cause, because someone going to get an abortion doesn't have to tell the doctor why they're getting an abortion. So how would you necessarily even know? This seems, sort of couched in racism. The same debate exists in Canada, and somehow it always seems to be Muslim or Middle Eastern women who are targeted with these arguments that, people who get abortions because they're trying to select the sex of their child. So that just seems like some dog whistle racism right there, but okay. Anyway, Alyssa Milano is fed up with these attempts to control women's bodies and their reproductive choices, so she's called for a sex strike. A sex strike is a protest. It's a form of protest where typically women in a community or maybe in a whole country band together. They're like, there is some bullshit that we are not on board with, and so in an attempt to get the guys in formation, we're not going to have sex with them until they pull it together. In this case, Alyssa Milano is proposing that women not have sex with dudes until dudes decide to give women agency over their own bodies and the option to make their own choice when it comes to pregnancy. I'm not on board with the idea of a sex strike, at all. I will get into the reasons why in a moment. But that having been said, even if I am not on board with this form of protest, and I think it's problematic in a lot of ways, I don't want to come for Alyssa Milano too hard, because I think she's trying. I think a lot of women are desperate around this issue, particularly in the States where we're seeing reproductive rights really being rolled back. And I understand that sort of like, well, let's try something. I think a lot of women are also really pissed. And again, I understand. It's insulting and it's frustrating when people who have nothing to do with you, nothing to do with your body, nothing to do with your life, think that they can sit up on some moral high horse and tell you what you should or shouldn't do with your body. So while I don't think a sex strike is a great idea, I definitely understand where the frustration, the anger, and the desire to do something to sort of clap back at all of this nonsense comes from. So that having been said, let me explain why I am not pro sex strike. Speaking for myself personally, I would never have sex with a guy who wasn't actively advocating for my human rights, and that includes my rights as a woman, that includes my reproductive rights. So for me personally, it would be kind of useless. It's not an obstacle course, man. For me personally, it would be a bit of a hollow action, because That's sort of one of my criteria for having sex with someone in the first place is, do you see me as a full, equal human being who is allowed to have agency over their own body? Also, are you pro-choice? I'm not gonna have sex with someone who's not pro-choice. I only have sex with one person. It's my partner. My partner is pro-choice, and my partner does actively advocate for my rights as a full human being, so I have sex with him, and I like it. The other reasons that I'm anti are sort of larger than just me personally. One of the reasons is I have a real problem with the way that heterosexual sex in particular is often framed as, you know, sex is the thing that men want, and sex is the thing that women give men in exchange for other things like love or affection or security or whatever. This idea that, you know, if you're a woman, you don't want sex for any reason, but the guy does. I have problems with that framing for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is I think that idea very much underpins rape culture and flies in the face of consent, because if what we're saying is women never actually really want sex, it's just something that they'll give you as a guy, if you give them a good enough reason to give it up to you, then by definition every sexual interaction between a guy and a gal becomes rooted in some kind of coercion or convincing. It's not two people coming together to do something that they both want to be doing. I also don't like that a sex strike, at least in this context, excludes like lesbians, excludes gay folks, it excludes asexual folk, like all these people who, you know, can be affected by these laws but can't participate in this particular strike. Relative to the problematic ways we frame heterosexual sexual relationships, is the fact that women do like sex. Like, I like sex. If I just stop having sex, yeah, maybe I would be sticking it to my partner, which I don't want to do for the reasons I already articulated. But also, I'm playing myself because I'm denying myself something that I really, really enjoy. So for a lot of women, I don't think that it's sort of like, oh, well, you don't get this, so, you know, a lot of women enjoy partnered sex. And like, yes, I enjoy masturbating, it's great, but masturbating is just a different type of sex than partnered sex, and I like them both, and I like having both as options in my life. So yeah, those are reasons that I don't think it's such a great idea. But again, I do not think that Alyssa Milano or the other women who are game to try this are like crazy and what are they doing. In fact, there are examples throughout history where sex strikes have been effective. One of the more recent examples is the civil war in Liberia. I think it was Liberia, or was it Libya? Hang on. I just Googled it. It was It was Liberia in the early 2000s. There was civil war. Hundreds of thousands of people had been killed. The women were fed up, and so they all gathered together and were like, knock it off or you're not getting any. And they ended a civil war. So like I said, it's not a ridiculous idea that's just come out of nowhere. It's just, in this case, I don't think that it's the ideal course of action. Now, I'm not necessarily anti some kind of strike. I would actually love to see guys who are pro-choice and who do support women's reproductive autonomy to get out there, and they could have some kind of sort of strike, like even just a general strike. They're like, we're not gonna come to work and make you money, would be awesome. But again, as I'm saying it, I can think of problems with that because not everyone has the luxury of not going to work and not getting paid. So I'm not sure. I'm really not sure what the answer is, particularly when you have an administration that is determined to do their own thing regardless of what the people they're governing actually want. Living in Ontario, I know something about that. I've been debating in my head whether or not I want to leave the comment section open for this video because conversations about abortion can get really heated, and especially on the internet in comment section, they can get kind of nasty. But I'm gonna try for now. I'm gonna leave the comment section open. I am going to assume that you can express differences of opinion and experience respectfully, and if it goes off the rails, then I will just delete the offending comments and close down this comment section. But let's try to have a conversation about this and see how it goes. Thank you so much for watching and putting up with my just random off the cuffness and my cat jumping all around. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you soon. Bye.